Hello, I'm Eric, aka Shungaku, and welcome to Hoarding Time. First of all, thank you all for just the amount of feedback I've gotten and the excitement about Horde mode magic. I am really excited to share it with you all, and I'm looking forward to being able to get a lot more feedback. And already the feedback has been fabulous. I've already been able to adjust some edge cases and get Horde mode moving even further along, so I was expecting like 50 people to watch this thing. So pretty exciting. One of the things that I want to do right now is go over my actual Horde deck that I use when I'm playing with my playgroup. Since I've had such a great response, I've been actually working on getting some graphics and stuff going. I put out a zombie Horde video. It's only about 2 minutes or so. I restricted it because cards in there that were a little bit more intense from like a zombie perspective and body piles and stuff that I decided I'll restrict it for now, maybe de-restrict it at some point. Anyways, let's hop right into going over my actual Horde deck that I use. So my Horde deck, I build from a stack of 45 1/1 tokens, and there's a bunch of different 1/1s. And essentially, whenever I play a 1/1 token, that's going to add a Horde counter. I like to use the spin down dice, or the spin up dice in this case. You add a Horde counter onto one of the Horde creatures, and I'll do a quick sort of run through of that in a little bit. So I've got my stack of 45 of those, then I shuffle that in. I use 2/2 tokens for the dangerous Horde creature. I use 4/4s for the elite Hordes creatures. And then this is 5/5, and I use that for saying, hey, I need to put a Horde counter on the Horde Lord. So those all get shuffled together. And then in addition, these are sort of my in-work Horde Swells cards. So as you can see, I literally created a Excel spreadsheet and just printed out text on them. Works really well. So if you are seeing the Horde cards that I put on the Google Docs, this is another option if you don't feel like printing the full thing out. The art's fun, but these are perfectly sufficient. And so I've got 10 of those that go into the Horde. And then these are versions of this is actually a slightly older version of the zombie Horde that I printed. The flavor wasn't quite right with these, so I tweaked it and ran some tests. And that has worked pretty well. So what you do is you put all that together, and you just shuffle it up. It's 100 cards total, so I do sleeve everything because I'm using a bunch of, essentially cards that are custom. You could also technically probably create a system where you say, hey, I'm going to use a bunch of lands for the Horde creatures. And while they aren't lands themselves, you say, hey, I'll use lands. You could then potentially use a specific land. If you want to get into it, you could use a specific land art to say, well, these are Horde Swells. Since there are 4 Horde Lord creatures, you could technically, I suppose if you wanted to, create a deck and a table where you can roll to see which spell is being cast, if you didn't want to have to print things out, or if you didn't want to use card sleeves. I don't mind using card sleeves. So anyways, that's a very reasonable, it's a fine shuffle right there. So then what you're going to do when you're laying out is I've got another Horde Swells. This is the Horde Swells token. Put that next to the library, and then I also then put out my Horde creatures. So I've got a 2/2 zombie token. The 5/5 zombie that I like to use is actually another token, but it's also, this is a proxy. I just printed the thing out because I never went and bought one. So now you've got the 4 Horde creatures. I usually will put, at least to start out, some counters next to it and just make sure I've got enough counters for everything. The Horde Swells is probably not going to go above 20. Unless you figured out unless you're running a weird rule set where you're like, no, this thing's going to shuffle like the same number of players that I have. I think It's definitely gone above 10, but I don't think we've ever pushed past 20 on the Horde Swells. Especially since you're just playing your entire deck out at that point, it feels like. So you've got your Horde Creatures here. You've got the Horde Swells. I generally leave this for Horde Permanents, which will be usually enchantments. Or, like I said, for slivers, I've got my sliver deck around here. This is my Horde box that I keep my Hordes in. I've got those over there. And I'll publish that one at some point. That one's not as custom. The slivers themselves are the actual enchantments and Horde spells, so it's literally just a bunch of cool slivers that I've collected that you play. That is a dragon that sits in my goblin set. Additionally, I do have it to where I have a bunch of different zombies. So, for example, right here I've got an Eternal Skylord, a bunch of stuff from War, tends to be M20, War of the Spark. I've got some old Amonkhet ones which are interesting. This is a Kenra Eternal. So what I can do is I can sort of generally figure out where they fit in the spectrum, and then I can shuffle up like 5 of them and then play it out, and you get a random horde essentially. Which, since this is a casual format, Chaos Hordes, it's a lot of fun actually, and it's kind of cool to see how strategies have to change if your horde is changing. So there we go. That's the basic setup for a horde. And then when you play the horde, you just say, okay, let's say we've got 2 horde counters or 2 Horde Swells counters on the horde. So that means that, and it's just one player, let's imagine. Then you'll essentially draw 2 cards to start out for the player, and then 4 more cards, and reveal them. And what I've got is a 2/2 bear token, 2/2 wolf token, because I'm terrible at shuffling, a 2/2 bear. It's kind of funny. I do usually hand it off to someone. I'm like, please reshuffle this after I shuffle. So there's 4 tokens that are going to end up on the, and we've got a 1/1 squirrel. And then we also have this, which is a sorcery that, in this iteration, it gives all of the Horde creatures Death Touch. But in this case, I've got 4 2/2 tokens and a 1/1 token. So I'm going to put 1 counter on the zombie, and I'll say that there are 4 counters on the zombie giant. And then I would be giving them all Death Touch. These will all go into the discard pile right over there. Obviously, you can change this layout to whatever you feel. And usually you'll be sitting over here. You'll actually be seeing where the camera is, looking at the horde like this. And actually, I can move some stuff back because it looks like it's a little bit off screen. And there you go. So that's sort of the general setup, how I start the horde. Then the horde will attack. And now we essentially have 5 creatures coming at the players. And then this guy is a 5/5, so it's actually attacking for 20 total trample damage. So you'll need to either be able to absorb that or reduce it however you would want. And there we go. That's sort of the general setup. Hopefully this is a helpful video that helps you understand how I've got it set up and how I've been running horde mode games combined with the other more detailed tutorial. As well as, hopefully I plan on getting some more hordes out pretty soon. But yeah, let me know if you've got more questions on this or if there's anything that I can clarify or any additional information. And I'll also be trying to update that the Horde Rules doc. It looks like we've already got a few comments that I haven't addressed yet, so I'll get around to those. But thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, and hold the lines, Planeswalkers. Words are hard, guys. Hold the line, Planeswalkers.